Here's a story of how I was able to diagnose an intermittent p0420. Go ahead and grab your scanners. Let's take a look. I'm amazed of how many technicians believe that having a $10,000 scanner is going to make you a better technician. Today, I'm going to diagnose this p0420 that intermittently sets a check engine light using my Topscan OBD2 dongle. Now, if you've never used this little bad boy, this thing is as powerful as my $5,000 Phoenix Max. Best part about it is I can use it on my iPhone or on an Android platform, and it gives me manufacturer and generic OBD2 data. We're going to open up our Topscan software called Top Guru on iPhone and Topscan on Android. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and click on Diagnostics. From there, you're able to download the software for every manufacturer you're going to be dealing with. As I've talked in the past, you always want to start with EOBD in my opinion, so we're going to start with that. Now, it falls into the screen where we can do an auto scan or we can select our protocol. I know this is CAN, so I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's much faster than the system running through each individual communication protocol on its own. So as we can see here, right now, mill status is off. There is one code stored. We have 3 monitors that are not applicable, 8 of them that are complete, and 0 of them that are incomplete. So this right here off the bat tells me that the check engine light has not been cleared. However, the system probably tested itself and it was able to pass. And this is why the mill's off, but there is a current code. So we're going to hit OK and then continue. So from there, we fall into the functions menu. Again, we are on the generic side. I'm not a manufacturer. I didn't enter a VIN number, nothing like that. So here we can see DTCs, IM readiness status, live data, mode 6, bidirectional, mode 9. So first we're going to go into mode 3, which is our check engine light. As you guys can see, we have a current stored code for a p0420 cat efficiency below threshold. Common code. We're going to go ahead and click on the snowflake because that's going to be our freeze frame data. So as a technician, one of the first things you always want to do is go into the freeze frame. One of the downsides that I see a lot of techs do is immediately after reviewing a code, they clear the light. When you do so, that's like adding bleach on a crime scene because now you've gotten rid of all the good information for you to be able to diagnose what's going on with the car. So as we can see, we have a p0420. The vehicle was in closed loop, so that means that all sensor inputs were operational. Now, why does it say fuel system B open loop fault? This is a 4-cylinder, so we don't have a bank 2. That's why it says OL fault. That system just falls into that as a default, and it's just a filler at that point. Calculated loads was 54%, so this is telling me the vehicle was under acceleration when this code set. ECT was at 195 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was warm. Our short-term fuel trim was negative 1.6%, and our long-term fuel trim was negative 2.3%. So this means the vehicle was under acceleration because the PCM is actually trying to reduce fuel. And let's continue to see if we were right on that information. Our engine RPM was at 1800 RPM. Vehicle speed was at 45 miles an hour. And our absolute throttle position was 23%. So we were right. The vehicle was under acceleration when this code actually set. Let's go ahead and continue with some more information. The engine start time was 453 seconds. So the engine had been on for 453 seconds. I'm no mathematician, so we're not even going to try to calculate that. But if you guys want to, it's 453 divided by 60. And that'll be how many minutes it was on. Not pertinent to our diag, so it really doesn't matter. We had 1 warm-up since DTC's cleared and 15 miles driven since DTC's cleared. This information is important not only for this diag, but for anything in general. If you guys ever have a comeback, always go into the generic side and check your warm-ups since DTC's cleared and your distance traveled since DTC's cleared. This way, the customer can say, the light turned on the moment I left the shop. Well, sir, you drove about 100 miles before the light came on, right? So you have some information there that'll kind of protect you guys. All right, so just with that, I can tell that this vehicle was being driven when the light came on for that p0420. So now let's go ahead and let's go into mode 6 real quick, and let's see what we find there. So going into mode 6, we're going to go to Onboard Monitor. And this is a Scion, so we'll click on Scion. Now, when it comes to CAN protocol, 2008 and newer, all mode 6 is going to be the same. So it's mids and SIDs, right? Monitor ID and component ID. So 01 is always going to be O2s. We're looking for 21, which is going to be bank 1 cat. So let's go ahead and scroll down, and there we go. Catalyst monitor 21. So that's MID 21 TID A9. And we see that we should have a minimum of 1.29, a maximum of, what is it? 969.993. And our value actually was 1.415. So it fell right above the minimum, and that's why it says okay. So there's a high probability that when this vehicle actually ran the cat monitor, the vehicle actually performed really well, and that's why the code kind of cleared off on its own. So now let's look at the O2 sensors to see if we spot any issues. What I could see right here from 0191, this vehicle is a Toyota, so it has an air fuel ratio sensor before the cat. And if you notice, our value is 2.464 milliamps positive. So this means that the vehicle is running lean because it's adding fuel, or it's moving air from one chamber to the other inside the air fuel ratio sensor. And that's how the computer makes fuel trim adjustments. So as of right now, we can tell that this vehicle is running a little bit lean because it's adding that amount of fuel. However, everything for O2 sensors comes back okay. The next thing I'm going to go is for in-use performance tracking. So usually when I talk about in-use performance tracking or mode 9 PID 8, most people get all bent out of shape because I'm not in emission state. It really doesn't matter. It's useful information that helps you diagnose a car. So we're going to go into vehicle information, which is mode 9. Then we're going to go to vehicle enhanced information, which is mode 9 PID 8. And then we're going to use in-use performance tracking. What I'm looking for is a catalytic converter completion count, which right now says 1188. And then the catalytic converter conditions encountered, which is 1076. If you guys notice that the gap between those two isn't really big. So this to me tells me that this vehicle is capable of actually reaching the conditions to run the readiness and actually flip it from incomplete to complete. So right here, that information helps me determine that I will be able to recreate this issue if I need to go out for a road test. So the next thing we're going to do is let's jump into some live data. So we're going to go to live data, which is mode 1. Right? And if you guys are that one tech that whatever your scan tool gives you, you just start scrolling through it like I'm doing now, you need to stop that. You want to find data PIDs that are relevant to whatever you're trying to diagnose, right? So we're trying to figure out a p0420. For me, what would be important right now is going to be my RPM and my rear O2, which is going to be bank 1, sensor 2. We'll hit confirm. That's it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the little gear wheel there and I'm going to graph it. So this way I can be able to see it in a better representation. Now, how does a computer know that you have a bad cat? What most computers do is they're actually running a test that emission states have been doing for years. I was taught this back in 2006 of doing a oxygen storage test using an oscilloscope and front and rear O2. Because most vehicles now don't have a front O2, they have an air fuel ratio. We use the rear one as a method of determining if this vehicle's catalytic converter is actually functioning the way it should be. So if you guys could look at it right now, look at my O2 sensor. It's actually switching from lean, which is close to 100 millivolts, to rich, which is close to 900 millivolts. That should not be. We should have a steady voltage either above or below 450 millivolts. Now, one thing that we could do, and this is a test that I was taught, is raise the RPM. So if you guys notice when our freeze frame said we were about 1800 RPM, so let's go ahead and shoot for 1800 to 2000 and see if we can see how our catalytic converter is operating at that point. So let's go ahead and raise the RPM. So right now we're at about 1900 RPM. And if you guys notice, my rear O2 is still switching from lean to rich. This again is usually attributed to the catalytic converter not being able to store the oxygen properly. And more than likely with this particular vehicle, it has a catalytic converter that's ready to go. Next step is let's bring it up to 3000 RPM and see if that makes a difference. So at 3,000 RPM, again, we're looking for a steady line. And what are we seeing is we're seeing a switch from lean to rich. Obviously, as we can tell now, right now it's a little flat and then now it's going back to lean, but we're still getting a pretty good switch rate. For a minute there, it stayed relatively flat. This is if the computer at this point was actually testing the system, this cat would have passed, which is a high probability being that mode 6 showed us that it passed the actual mode 6 test. So now let's go ahead and bring it back to idle. And when I let go of the throttle, notice how now we're getting a pretty even flat line because the computer is trying to adjust or adapt for air fuel, right? And notice how it's staying relatively flat. We should begin to see an increase as the computer begins to add fuel again to then get it back to optimal performance. So as you guys could see, after we warmed the cat up, it stayed relatively flat. It came back up to about 450 millivolts, stayed relatively flat, but here we go again. Now it's beginning to switch. So again, this catalytic converter is relatively weak and it does look like it needs to be replaced. Now, one thing that can also lead to a catalytic converter issue would be the O2 sensors. Since we checked the air fuel ratio and the O2 using mode 6 and they both tested okay, here's another test that we can run real quick just to verify if in fact we got an issue. The only difference now is I need to add the air fuel ratio sensor on my live data. So then this way I could confirm to see how that bad boy's doing. So we'll do that. Okay, confirm. There we go. Okay. We'll go with lambda. All right. Wonderful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a snap throttle acceleration and we should see the lambda change and our rear O2 go full rich. So let's go ahead and give that a whirl. So if you guys notice, when I peaked my RPM, my O2 sensor went full rich, and so did my lambda air fuel ratio. So that's telling me that the O2 sensor did detect a full rich condition. So the O2 sensor at this point, in my opinion, would be relatively okay. Right now, the other follow-up test I could do would be to smoke test or pressure test the exhaust for any leaks. If there isn't none, then at this point, we would need to replace the cat. You see how easy it is to do an evaluation? What it is we need to understand how the system works and how we can use all the data that the engine computer already gives you for us to analyze that and then put the pieces together to be able to diagnose it. At this point, based off of the test that I ran, I would say that this vehicle does need a catalytic converter. Now, if you guys know Toyota is very known for a bad cat. This vehicle did suffer, prior to this issue, a oil consumption issue, which has been repaired. However, that led to a failure of the catalytic converter. Remember, a typical cat typically operates around 1200, 1300 degrees Fahrenheit internally. If you guys do a visual inspection of the cat and you see discoloration like blue and purple, that means that catalytic converter has exceeded that and it's probably around 1600 degrees. So it's overheating for some weird reason. This vehicle, I actually checked the cat. It doesn't show any type of discoloration. So it would probably, for me, it's going to be the oil consumption that led to the premature failure of this particular cat. Like with any video or any training material, this is not 100% bulletproof. This is how I've tested cats and I've been very successful with it. You might know a different way or somebody taught you something different. That doesn't mean they're wrong or I'm wrong. It just means that everybody has a different way of doing something similar like this p0420 diagnostic. This information useful, do me a favor, give us a like, a follow, and turn on that notification bell so this way you're aware anytime we drop a new video. And if you didn't like it, which some of you don't, put it in the comments. Let me know why. This way, if it's something that I can fix, right, outside of audio and stuff like that, I'll definitely do the best I can to help you guys out. Again, I want to thank you guys for being here today. If you have any questions on anything that I covered today, go ahead and drop it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. As always, guys, we're here to better the automotive industry one technician at a time. This starts with you. And I'm also a firm believer in investment in education pays the best interest. The more you invest in yourself, the more your value goes up as a tech, the more valuable you are to the marketplace. So I hope this information was helpful. You guys are freaking awesome, and I'll see you guys on the next one.